Yeah, yeah. And it's like those going on the body. So I hope it's okay for the one online. Just write something if it isn't. But that's I was saying is a startup world. You know, it just makes things work. So yeah. How is it going so far? Yeah, the day is going well. Okay. So for the next minutes, half an hour, like we'll talk about RPA. So it's like a scary word, or like an abbreviation of robotic process automation. But here's why we think like you should listen for the next like minutes. So basically, it's a new technology that has been existing for now around 10 years. But it's been like really changed and transformed over the past years with like new models that arrives, and it definitely like disrupts finance in the way that it's enabling to basically bring technology to a next level, and we will see how we'll present this in an easy way, on an accessible way, quick. And like that's why I think that it's interesting to listen on how it could impact careers on your personal life in terms of investment or something like that.
Cool. But obviously, before we head on talking about this exciting and somewhat daunting topic, let us tell you who we actually are and why you should why we're actually here. So my name is Marchela Georgieva. As you can tell from the surname, I'm actually Bulgarian. So we're not here to show off some proficiency in English. The reason this presentation is in English is because of Alexis. He still has a few lessons in Bulgarian before he can stand up here and present in Bulgarian. So until that point, we're presenting in English. So a little bit about me. So I'm from Russia, so not too far from here. But for better or worse, I left Bulgaria 11 years ago to go and study, as most people at my age were doing back then. I went to Scotland and I did management. So not overly exciting, but it gave me quite a lot of different range of skills, I guess, and knowledge. So after that, the obvious next thing was to go to London, because it was the cool thing to do back then. I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is, they've got an office here in Sofia as well. It's a pretty multinational accountancy firm, and I joined as a financial accountant. Hence why I guess we're presenting in a topic in finance, because I spent quite a lot of time within the finance team of the firm. But I got quickly bored. So 3 years after joining the firm, I said enough is enough. Audit is not really my thing. I like the banks and it was fun to an extent. But then I thought, okay, let's try something else. So I moved internally within the company to do private client tax. So I was working with a lot of high net worth individuals, sorting out their tax affairs. Exciting stuff. And actually it was, until I realized that 8 years have passed within the same company, and a lot of the jobs within the same company were really quite manual. Like, you'd be surprised for a company of that size, or at least I was surprised at a company of that size, that there was still a lot of manual work that had to be done. There's a lot of billing, there was a lot of invoicing, there was a lot of manual typing of emails reminding the client to send me his personal tax information, and a lot of things were just really quite dull. I mean, it was an exciting job, of course. A lot of it was, quite VIP clients and high-level transactions, and it was challenging. It was technically very, very interesting, but it was just very manual, or at least the proportion of manual work was too much for me that I felt happy with. And this is actually what inspired the creation of the company that myself and Alexis started 1.5 years ago. The company is called Capto, and it's actually based in Bulgaria. With COVID and everything happening around that time, we decided that it's time for me to come back home and to help the ecosystem in Bulgaria, but also to get Alexis an exposure to something completely different. And he'll tell you a little bit more about his journey and why he's here today, effectively. But I'll hand over the mic to him.
Thanks. So yeah, as you can see on my last name, I'm not from Bulgaria. But I fell in love with the country, and so to give a bit of background, I I grew up in France, and after started traveling and really got a passion for like technology and the impact of technology in daily life, but also like in professional life. When I got my first experience in companies, I was really actually interested and excited to go more in big, old-minded, I would say, or at least I was saying that old-minded companies that didn't have those technology yet and that had a lot of challenges. Often the people that did my program were going for Facebook, Google, or companies like this. But I was really interested to see like more on the ground, how companies that actually were working before, like 50 years ago, 100, or like PwC 150 years ago, how they basically are transformed and impacted by technology. So that was like really like my passion for, that was started everything. And so afterwards, seeing a new trend of technology and seeing that those companies had budgets for high and expensive technologies, we're actually not answering some like most of our jobs. 80% of the businesses are like on SMEs, and so it was really something important to me to go on like something that would answer this need. And after, so when we decided to go on the adventure of Capto, we decided that Bulgaria was like the best country for that. And yeah, it's super exciting since that time.
I think it's just very important to actually say what the company does and why we're presenting this topic in particular. The company actually comes to resolve all the problems that I had working at PwC. So we're here to automate all the manual admin work that I was doing, but I'm sure a lot of people, even in the room, are doing as part of their daily jobs. Anything that's kind of copying and pasting, going between different systems, trying to extract information, copy information from invoices or whatever, like all those manual tasks that take so much time and are frankly not entirely exciting or really helping you learn anything. So that's where, that's the problem that we're trying to solve with the company, and why the topic of today's discussion is process automation, because that's effectively what we do for a living now. So before we kind of dive into...
Maybe just before
start
introducing, it would be super. But I just wanted, so for the one online, you can do it as well. But can you raise your hand if you ever heard about robotic process automation before today? Oh, okay, 2. Okay. That's just a personal stat I wanted to. So now we will explain for more in details what it is.
Yeah, so this is just a very brief summary of what RPA, or robotic process automation, actually is. So effectively, it's a technology that solves problems by automating different tasks. So what, for example, we do is we write lines of code that have the purpose of automating a certain task. Now, we package those lines of code effectively and we host them on the cloud. So that effectively means that you don't really have to do anything from a user point of view. The robot can be set up, what we call a robot or an automation solution can be set up to start itself automatically. So you don't have to, unless you want to, start it yourself and stop it yourself. So like I said on the screen, it's effectively a technology that mimics what you do on a screen. That could literally be anything. And that is actually the challenge of what we do right now, because a lot of people can't get their head around, okay, but how can it do everything? Like, it's not possible. Like, what is your use case? And it's really hard to answer that question, because the technology, in the way that we use it, i.e. we write the code ourselves, it can be written in a way that it can integrate with any system. It can integrate with any, be it external or internal software. And with that flexibility, it effectively taps into every problem that a company or an individual might have. But it's very important. You see on the screen that we've written digital robots, and it's the kind of words that we use to describe effectively what we built. But you can call it. I mean, people in the market have called it very different things. Some people refer to it as digital assistants. Other people just refer it as automations. But effectively, it's or a digital worker. It's effectively piece of software that does a certain task instead of you. So it's important to say that if you see something along the lines of robots or software robots or digital robots, we're definitely not talking about the factory kind of physical robots that can do certain things in factories. These are very much code-based solutions that unfortunately we can't really look them in. It's not like a physical robot that you can see it and you can totally see exactly, with your vision, you can see exactly how it does its job. It's not, the robots that we do are not as sexy in that way, because when the tasks are done so quickly, sometimes in a matter of a few seconds, that unless you go into the code, it's actually not that easy to see it at the back end how the robot actually does its job. All that you kind of see is the end result, which if it is a good thing, because you don't have to spend any time really upskilling yourself or really trying to understand what's happening at the back end. Really all you care about is that your invoices are processed in a matter of seconds, and that all the extraction that you want to do from information, say from your HR system, is done within seconds. So it's very much user hands-off, and it's very much output orientated in a way that all that the user really sees, unless of course the user wants to stop and start the process himself or herself, is really the output, which we think is pretty cool because it streamlines quite a lot of things, really. And I think for a couple of people raised their hands that they actually have heard of RPA before, which is really cool. One important thing to mention here is that a lot of what we have seen about RPA in the past has come from what we like to call traditional RPA providers. And here we talk about big names like UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, and the like. What those companies have effectively done is provide users with a platform effectively, where you can use drag and drop features to solve a particular challenge that you have. And that in a way is a good way to do a lot of automations at the same pretty quickly, because you can supposedly with a bit of training you can do it yourself. But what we found is that all these platforms, they're really quite inflexible. What that basically means is that, for example, UiPath, they've invested quite a lot of, obviously, investment to create the platform that they've created, and it's also a particular baggage of problems. Where we come in is to tap into that gap of all those other scenarios where a platform that's designed for a certain purpose can, for example, integrate with your system that has been created particular for your business. So if it's something that, for example, your best friend from college made exactly for you, UiPath and providers that use drag and drop functionalities will find it very almost impossible to integrate with those bespoke systems. So we come in here to take a step back and really start from the code. Like, let's look at the code and let's look at what the client or the individual wants to achieve with this automation, and really provide a tailored solution to that particular problem, as opposed to here's the platform, sort yourself out. It's got 1,000 different things that you can do. If your problem fits into the 1,000 problems, then great. If not, then platforms like those that we call traditional RPA become a little bit limited. But I see that Alexis is urging to say something, so I'm handing over.
Yeah. No, just to ease like the way to see it. I always say, like, if you basically know exactly what you are doing from Monday to Friday, like exactly in the detail, even what you will write on your email and etc., an RPA could do it. After, it doesn't make sense to do it for everything. Of course, it makes sense for the things that like is repetitive, that you find yourself in front of the laptop and you're like, why I'm here? I want to be like doing something else. So that's something like this. Then after, just to add a bit of like how it impacts and it will impact the future, is that, for example, one of the compliance use case we had in finance lately, we've seen that people were spending like on documentation, on some documentation, up to 3 months per year. And basically we created a robot for that part of the process, which saved those 3 months. So now they just have like to basically review the documents, get focused on what actually they add as value, the knowledge that they have in finance, on adding like paragraph and things like that they do for like compliance, but that's the main element. So why a key topic for finance? Traditional finance is already like becoming highly automated, as you can see on the slide, and you can see already like big banks in Bulgaria having those robots already implemented, the traditional generation of RPA, and that's exactly like why it's like getting really more and more common to see and to hear about it. The only thing that so far it has been quite slow in a way that the processes had to be really specific, really big to actually make sense to onboard it, when actually now with the progress that is made in terms of technology, it's getting easier and easier to do it. And I think there is a big change as well on the way technology is seen, in the way that it's not only like before it was kind of seen as a mix will happen. People in finance will manage technology and onboard those technologies. What we have seen is that it's not always and fully the answer to onboard and to transform those technologies. It really like need people to be focused on both topics. So you have like people that will have really a lot of knowledge on technology, like that will be able to code a whole robot and will implement the robot. But the people that will have the knowledge of the business will stay focused on that and won't have time to do both at the same time. And so that's where it's going further, because like those systems have been very complex up to now, which made it slow for onboarding. When actually now since it gets simpler and simpler, it's really helped on the onboarding, and like for even big corporation, but also for especially for a corporation that didn't have like an IT department, an IT team with infrastructure, servers, etc. It makes them possible to have those technologies and to compete in terms of like process and in terms of in terms of quality with like big companies that have really have all of this automated since like a couple of years. So the capabilities of RPA, as we were saying, is so broad, but what is happening is that there is like really a focus that is being made independent of the industries on helping to really see what a robot can do. For you to understand and to have like some example, what they have in big corporation or in companies is like huge system, and they often don't talk to each other. It's like trying to interact between Facebook and Twitter, like or LinkedIn. Like you can post a picture on Facebook, it goes directly to Instagram, but if you don't have Instagram but you want to put your picture on LinkedIn, it doesn't work. Same in companies, they have huge system. They can actually put information on the system, but if they want to talk, for example, from the finance to the sales, it's really a problem. And that's where like RPA is really like has been so far really at the edge on trying to push those systems to talk to each other. So the robots the robots are indeed increasing. And actually, I was really surprised of the master room, I think it is. Like the decoration was really like based on Python, based on like you had robots and things like that, and it's actually like really a decoration we could have in our office. In the way that so it's based for us on Python, and the new generation of like robots are based on Python. So if anyone does anyone like know a bit of coding on Python? Okay, so you. Sorry? It's enough, actually with just like a bit of experience on Python, you can quickly jump to one of the library, which is Robot Framework, and really like jump on this kind of use cases and onboard them really easily. And that's where like there's a lot of development. Sorry? No, it's more like functions that are on the library, and you can like call them. I would like there is some difference with macros, especially in terms of agility, but that's where there is like a huge development and a rising need for RPA developers. Like we can see it from our side, like developers with knowledge on automation, on process analysis, something like that. There is definitely a rising need. Yeah, like definitely there is like, so it's not use case that we have done on our site, but there is an interaction between different devices and things that are actually we sent messages in one of the process. So yeah. Do you want to add anything on this slide, or do you have any question already, or not yet? And we wait for. All right. Okay. So the use case we had in the past and in finance that are really like almost happening for every companies is the invoice processing. It's really impressive on the number of companies that still process invoices, even if they have system on some solution. It never brings the whole requirement that they want. Let's say that for the invoices, they would like to have 6 or 7 fields on information, and they don't have it. One of the examples is for VAT. That's one of the big examples. Payment processing, billing. After it's like, for example, for processing payments, it's just to check that you receive the payment, because often your accounting system and your banking system are not talking to each other. So it's really something that we have seen a use case on. The billing, the loan and claims processing is a big one. It's like, I think you all know it because we see it in our personal life. Like when you have to do a loan, it takes ages. On claims, it takes ages as well. One of the reasons is that so far, even big corporations of insurance and in finance, we are doing a lot of things manually. Like you are sending pictures of your documents and things like that. And on the other side, you have to imagine that each claim that they receive, they have to zoom in, go take the names, the letters, are they sure, put a reference. If they put the reference manually, did they do a mistake on 1 digit? It's all the problem that we always face in our personal life. And that's things that companies are really working on. Like especially for claims, we really see like a lot of investments happening on RPA for this.
You mentioned how architectures.
So actually it's interesting because RPA interacts with, as we are saying, every kind of technology, and the really good principle to use Python from the start, from the basic, is to basically onboard Python functions onto the robot. So for example, a robot could sound like something that is very rigid, but actually like you will just take some of the work that has been done to recognize pictures for the claims, and it will extract all the information. Then instead of having someone taking the documents, as I was talking before, and writing it manually, everything will be complete, and it will just like ask for the review. It will check the picture quickly, and it will process. Even sometime with AI now, we can determine like on some use case, the confidence of the AI, and it basically like if it's above like 99%, 99.1 or something like that, then it doesn't even ask for the review and it sends directly. We have especially one use case like this, where basically the robot takes the invoice, recognizes the information, sorts the invoices in the correct folder for like where the invoice is coming from, and after have a folder for like here are maybe some errors on some invoices that we are not sure of. Real-time reporting is another use case. I think you will definitely like see that one a lot. Is that, you know, like when you want to have your information that are reported, you would always want to have numbers and things like that. Even on your personal life, you know, you have like different banking application, you have different investments, and you never see the thing at the same place. And basically, like what's its RPA is helping a lot is this kind of like this system talking to each other. What the important thing that was saying Marchela is like the RPA mimic your use. So for example, if you are like having an application like Revolut, and that you can only connect to Revolut by clicking on the application, taking all the information, verifying that it's you, take the number, something like this can be done by a robot because it will click like if it was you, it will verify all the information, and after like see the number, it doesn't have even to copy paste or whatever, just take a screenshot and then recognize the numbers. That's where like basically there is a lot of like possibilities, and that's where it's link everything. A lot of startups, for example, are using this technology to just like do a first proof of concept. See that basically what they want to do can work, and can they gather the information that they need. That's one. The real-time reporting, actually not later than yesterday, we had a talk about an example like this, where basically teams had information in their sales, in their finance team, and in their promotional, like in their marketing team, and the information were not like communicating to each system, and so they just need an RPA, like a robot that that will just take the information from each side. And then after the expense management, this one is easy. It's just like verifying, like a lot of people in finance spend a lot of time to actually verify that they have all the documents for the expenses, and we spend a lot of time to go in the folder and then realize that there is one thing missing, and then we'll go back to the person will come back after like 1 week, and it's like a long process and things like that are basically RPA and robots are helping with. So yeah, I think that in finance, it's like the main use case that we hear, but there is a lot more. What we see is that it's, as soon as a company realizes the potential of it, there is a multiplication afterwards, because there is different use or linking different, like bridging different systems, and the other use is also like testing before doing something really complex. You do a robot and you put it in place. For example, the case that I was talking about on the real-time reporting, they know that the system will take place at some point in 3 years, but before they would like to have a robot that do it to just like be sure of what information they want, what computation they need, and things like that. So for finance, I think that's that's a real transformation that took place already. The only thing in finance that is different from other industries is that what we were seeing with previous generation was very expensive. When I'm saying very expensive, it's like something going between 100K to 1 million per year. So it's like really companies with big budget that have this. When actually now, like it's like, for example, the program of NASA 20 years ago, and now SpaceX arriving and like really breaking the market and enabling to have like really another vision towards space. It's the same with automation. Like what's happening currently with robots will definitely transform every industry, but for finance, it's something that will definitely make a difference between big players and little players. So yeah, I think that's a good resume. Do you have any?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something, because the whole idea of RPA is super hard to get your head around with. Like if you haven't heard of it before, you're like, what is it really? I mean, robots, what do you mean by robots? So, I mean, I was, when we first started the business with Alexis, I obviously went back home and I was telling my parents that we were leaving this like massive companies to start up this business. And I explained to my mom, like, we're going to be doing this thing. And she could not, like, bless her, she could not understand anything, like not a single thing. And the next day we actually went to the bank in Rosé to open a bank account for her company, for her new company, and the process took us 45 minutes to open a bank account. So this is from waiting for the number to show up on the screen for us to be called at the desk. The lady greeted us, asked for my mom's ID card, asked for the details of the newly formed company, and she asked for those details. Well, she asked for there was like a printed page with my mom's company's company number, address, and all of that information that you can basically just, it was like a printout from the registrar, from the company registrar, and her ID card. And then the lady spent, I swear, 20 minutes copying every single thing that was on the ID card. My mom's name, middle name, surname, date of birth, address, where it was issued, when it expires, all of that. Then took the printed sheet of paper with the company's information, so literally typed onto the computer all the information that was on the piece of paper, company name, again, company number, address, all of that information. And then talked to my mom. So you wanted me to tell you what we do, Mom, right? Well, saving all of these 40 minutes of the lady typing all this information from your ID card and that printed piece of paper is exactly where we come in to help. So I basically told my mom that if the bank was to use RPA, whether with us or with anybody else, my mom could have just given her ID card. From there, they could have used RPA to extract all of the information from the ID card, for that information to immediately go in the system where the lady was typing that information in, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet or some sort of a banking internal system, doesn't matter. So that information would have gone in to the system of the bank immediately, in seconds. So my mom wouldn't have had to spend any time waiting there for the information to be correct, then actually checking whether all the information was entered correctly by the lady. And the lady would have hated her job for having to spend 20 minutes zooming into those two documents, copying information across. And also, not only that, but by looking for my mom's name, RPA could have easily automated the process of checking the registrar, the company registrar, for any companies registered under my mom's name, and automatically extract all the information that's in the registrar and input it into the same system where the lady was typing all the information. So by having this real, completely real daily experience, I was actually able to show visually what I meant to my mom about what it is that we do. So all these, fancy words like digital robots and stuff like that, they could be hard to understand unless you have a real use case in front of you that you can kind of see and really realize actually what a massive change something so simple could result into, not only for the bank and the employee, but also for the customers. And this is exactly where we want to tap in, and this is one of the main reasons why we created a company in Bulgaria, because we definitely see a lot of potential for us to improve things, be it in the finance or in the healthcare sector or in the public administration. Use cases are whatever we turn our head to. But enough about that. Hopefully that explains not only to my mom what we actually do, but also puts into a little bit of a more real use case what it is that these fancy digital robots do and how they're applicable. But now a little bit more about about where all of this actually comes in when it comes to personal finance, because I understand that a lot of us have come here to understand not just about businesses and how these cool technologies can help businesses, but how can they help us individuals. And I'll hand over to Alexis on that one as well.
Yeah, so I think it was a brilliant example. But yeah, for the personal finance, it's also has an impact. To be honest, when we knew we were coming to present, we were like, okay, that's great. There is all of these things that are happening, but how to relate as well on the personal life, because it's something that we don't often focus on. But actually, in the months that came, we saw some example of friends that were like, oh, it's interesting. Could it do that for me? One of them is Binance. I don't know if you having stats. So who does have a crypto, and even better, have used Binance? Okay, perfect. Okay, the stats are improving. I think we arrived by the end at 100%. So for Binance, I don't know if you are aware, but they have API, which enables to connect directly with Python and. Sorry. Yeah. So it enables to basically connect directly and to give orders to to Binance. So, for example, one of the one we do, like that we have done already, is like a robot that basically, as soon as you receive a crypto, if you do a transaction with it, it directly goes to a stable coin, which like equivalent of euro or of USD. The advantage of this concretely is like when it was like kind of like moving a lot, like those last weeks, those last months, it enables you to really stabilize what you actually receive if your business accepts crypto payment or things like that. So it's one example. And when we talked about it to someone, he was like, "Oh yeah, but actually it's super interesting. I would love it to do that." But as well, for when you see that Bitcoin is like at the top since the last month, then it's sell it, because I just want to make sure that I sell it when actually that's top. You know, like it happens to us when we connect back to the application and you see it was like $200 a year, and you are like, "Oh, I would have connected 2 hours earlier. I could have sold at that point." A question? To like external to Binance. I am not sure. We didn't do. I'm not aware of the whole listing of, because there is different API. I'm aware of like all the transfer and all the things that you can do internally of Binance. But I wouldn't be surprised if they don't open an action to actually do transfer outside of the application, just for strategical reason. But I will check, and we can exchange contact, and I will let you know. So after, for stock analysis automation and data extraction, it's the same kind of usage, you know, like when you have personal investments and that you want to have some automation to be put in place, because you see that actually if you do those actions, that you connect at the right time, it would enable you to do something that is efficient. It's something that we actually worked on that enable to really see the trends, and to enable a robot to have the knowledge to say, okay, that amount, which is the average of the last 7 months, if it goes 10% above or 10% below, here are some actions that I want to make. So that's some examples like this. And after, for real estate scrapping, so I got this example with like emot.bg, because when you look on like actually real estate on emot.bg, you have like so many, like you have to go basically to the city where you are looking at to see what there is there, and if you are interested in an area, then you have like to drill down, to drill back, and to go to the next area and things like that. And it's like, for people that invest actually in real estate, it's really a challenge, because when they interact with the thing to actually see things that are happening, there is filters that exist on the website, but it's not like as going as precise on as like as well as a robot would go and just filter for you and extract the information to do the list exactly that you want. So that's another example. But after, in general, what we have seen is also like more and more, due to the ease and the fact that the robots get simpler, people coming to us that are not like chief of the department or anything, but like coming to us saying like, actually I'm doing that every day, I would like to stop doing that. And with remote work and things like that, like it's on their laptop, they just want to make sure the data stays on their laptop, and after like it interact for them and do this task. So that's things that are actually also something that we see more and more. Scraping is like, so it depends, but for like real estate scraping is like really like going through a whole website on the different pages, different filters that you may have, and extracting everything. The other use case we have done with scraping is actually extracting the job application. That was for like another example, but it was to go in like 10 top websites where there was job offers, and to scraps, which mean extracting all the different job offers information, and then to gather one database, like one page where there is all your job offers. Actually, this was for business, but it could well be for a person, like a personal interest. You know, like when you are looking for a job, if you don't want to look on the 10 top websites on the market, you just have to put the robot and link to it. It takes all the offer, and it can even filter for you the one that match what you want. So yeah. Do you have any other personal? Yeah. I think then we can go on to the next one on how to get started. So that's the second part on where we wanted to add some more value, like more on the personal level. As we were saying, it's something that is really growing, and we see that companies are looking for more and more of this capacity, and more companies also come to us that are big companies. And they come to us not because they don't have an IT team, but they don't have the capacity internally, they don't have the people. And they are looking constantly, but they can't find them. And so there is definitely something, like if you are really like interested as well about how technology impact finance, then there is a lot of things to do here. So get curious about robot framework. That's what I was talking about. So for the one that don't know Python, it's like that's a great library, because basically the whole point of it is to talk with human sentences what you want to do. So for example, when you want to extract information from a PDF, it's literally extract text PDF, and then after you put the reference of the PDF and it extracts the information. So that's one of the examples. You have different examples if you want to use different AI, because after once you are aware, you are like, okay, there is PDF reader, and there is AWS, like Amazon version, there is this kind of things. But like there is always a solution, a first solution that will give you a first result with really simple words. And that's like the whole point, is that it's really like making a bridge between the person that don't know anything about coding. Like this, you can explain like what it is doing without like with the confidence of the people that are really focused on their business and don't want to care about the code, but you can still show them. And make it understandable, and to learn, it's really easy to learn. There is a lot of content about it. The other one is GitHub. It's like amazing if you. So I think there is two amazing points about GitHub. Is that it helps you actually finding resources to learn, because you will take like someone who did like a whole use case, a whole robot, and you will see how he did it. And you learn, at least, I found that it's easier to learn when you have example than to learn just like by learning on a book or something like that. It's like the same than learning English. If you learn on a textbook or if you learn from Netflix, like it's easier when it's like just come to you and already done, just have to review it kind of. And the second use of GitHub is also when you are like more advanced to anything that you want to do. You will always be able to find some parts and assemble all of it. Just to review the code and see if it's well done. But that's it. I know code is a scary word for many, but actually, like really, the robot framework and the way it's built enable to really bridge and make it easy. So there is also an amazing training on Robocop, our partner, where they built a whole RPA course that is done. I think it can be done within a week, in terms of hours, like doing a few hours per day, and you will have done the trainings per week. And at the end, you are not an RP expert, but you know how to find every like question that you may have for yourself. So if you have a use case in mind, when I was talking just before about the personal use case, like we are happy to answer your question, but also there you can really find some, like most of the answer. So that's one. And after for like simple automation and build up, that's also the point with Robocop, is that during the training they make you build 3 robots. The first one is super simple. The second one is a bit more complex. The last one is very complex. You won't do this kind of things often, but it's help you like step by step, showing how to go there. And yeah, after like there is a lot of people like us talking about robots, so don't hesitate to talk to them any question? Do you have anything to add, Marchela, on how to get started? Do you have any question on how to get started? Like, what's the things that you could think that is challenging? Yeah. Okay. Time for questions. So perfect timing. So, do you have any like things that you see as challenges, like that you think it's cool, those robots and things like that. I see it could help me, but here I see a first challenge for myself that I won't do it. It's just for me to try to answer it and show you that it's okay. No? Yeah. So we are Capto. That's the name of the website, but like so the company is Capto. We do robots, RPA, so open source based on Python. The difference is that's some like tips that we gave during the presentation, but the difference with the previous generation is that you don't depend of licenses that are very it's very expensive. And you don't depend as well of a company because you have the code. And I had this question once from a client who was like, "Okay, and what happens if you disappear?" And at first I had yeah, but I'm young. I understood the question differently, and I was like, no, he was like, no, not that. Like just if Capto disappear, and I was like, no, actually that's the base of Python. So even if we disappear, the code is still there and the robot is still there, so you don't depend of anyone. That's the marvel of it. The only thing is like if you want it to be clean and efficient, we do basically like the whole process. So we host it, we make it easy for you to use. You just have to click a button. You don't have to open the code, and so especially on our services to wrap it up. We basically start from the beginning with discussing about the process that the company may have in mind that wants to automate. So we do a process definition document to make sure that everything that we have understood is actually aligned with actually what's the process. And after we do the robot, we deploy it, and all that around 4 weeks in general. So that's also a breaking thing, with the new generation and the fact that it's on Python with our process that is very streamlined, to enable to have it on 4 weeks, when actually for past generation, those kind of robots were around 6 months to 1 year at least, because you have to manage, it has to be onboarded in an IT team. It's a different budget to talk about, so the company has really to invest. It has to have the server capacity, a lot of things like that. Even if the cloud is coming to them, they are adapting to the cloud due to companies like ours, but it takes time on their side, and it's something that is not as agile, let's say. Does it reply? Yeah. Is it easier to? So I will turn it around actually, and I would say HTML would be easier, but I would turn it around in a way that HTML will be very specific to the things that you want to do, and quickly, if it's not kind of in line with some purpose of HTML, you will be blocked. When actually with Python, today you have so many, everything is on Python depending of the library, depending of what you want to do. So your knowledge that you will acquire on Python will enable you to do far more things, a far more range, kind of everything. Like video games are made on it, Netflix is based on it. I had a whole list of things in mind before, but a lot of things that we are using every day is based on Python. And there is a reason is that the library and the community is so huge that actually it's easy to onboard and to do everything. So yeah, you're welcome. So I would advise Python. Maybe I'm tweaked in terms of opinion, but yeah, that's I think there is far more potential, especially when you look at even companies like Tesla and things like that use Python as well. So it's really far wider range. do you want to add anything on the question that there was? No? And um,
If you can even just one single thing out of this whole chat, that's great. That's great already, because it can be a bit daunting. So if we're glad that we've taken a bit out of it, and like I said, if you have any other questions that we can help with, I mean, obviously we're going to stay around afterwards as well. So if you don't want to kind of raise your voice here and ask a question here, we'll be available afterwards as well. But if you, sorry, go on.
The first time it can be like, yeah, it takes time to get the head around, but I will have a last question at the end. Not to start.
Cool. Well, I'll hand that over to you.
It's just for me, like, so from what we were talking about, like we were talking about robots, assistants, digital workers. For you, like when so why we were talking about robots is because as we were talking before about manufacturing, so not those physical robots. The fact to use the word digital robot for us was clear in a way that you wouldn't imagine a factory anymore without a physical robot in it, like that helps the production. Not everything happens by hand. And why we think that finance will really be transformed is the same that will happen to finance jobs. Like what happened to factories on the last century will happen this century to like office jobs. But my question was, for you, what do you think is like the word that makes the more sense for you? Is it more assistants, robots, or digital workers? And that's purely on my side because I'm always talking about robots and I'm trying to use the word that is easier to catch. So what would be your favorite word between assistant, digital workers, or robots? Assistant? Yeah, I like it. Yeah, okay. So I will keep talking about robots then. Mm. Yeah, no, definitely. Like there is two type of process that are automated. That we see that the one that already is done and it's easier because the people can tell you like, okay, I'm doing that, like it's super clear. The other thing that we are seeing as well is more and more is like businesses that are not able to basically face a new compliance regulation, that are not able to face a new client because the client is so big that they can't face the number of information that they will get. And so that's more complex because you have to work on building the process at the same time than building the robot. But that's things that we're also seeing. So it's not only things that are being done and that needs to be done, but it's sometimes something that can't be done, and so we push also the possibility, which is interesting. Oh yeah. Its advantage of it is that so on, for example, robot framework, there is not directly how to say the most advanced artificial intelligence and machine learning, but you can basically connect it, and there is a lot of use case on the internet that you can see someone saying like, okay, I connected remote framework on a Robocop with like I'm looking for an example with an AI machine, like specific AI on basically processing something very like niche, very particular that enable to really work on. One of the things is like, for example, to do testing, like to do a lot of different action. It enables to do a lot of computation in advance, even before you need to do them. So that's very niche, but that's something that is on this area. I don't know if you want to.
I mean, he can talk about this for the rest of the day, but I don't think that you want to spend the time here. So I think thank you everyone so much. It was a pleasure to give a little bit of what we're doing and what keeps us excited. And yeah, thank you for your interest, your time, and attention. We really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day.